and PR ethics. And for today's meeting, our speaker will talk about media relations and managing social media. He is a media observer and a lecturer at Don Mariano Marco Memorial State University, and he will deliver a material on how to build media relations through social media, which is currently an effective communication channel in conveying message to the public. All right, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Gerald Oisakulis. Mr. Gerald, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Ma'am Dita, for the warm introduction. Before anything else, is my audio clear, Ma'am Dita?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga to our friends here in the Philippines. Salamat pagi to our friends in Indonesia. I hope I said that right.
Salamat pagi.
So before I start my talk, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Universitas Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka of Jakarta, Indonesia, and the Office of Internationalization and Linkages of Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University for giving me the opportunity to speak alongside with the biggest names in the media industry in Indonesia and to speak before a vibrant young audience. So for that, I would be forever grateful. So for today, I'm assigned to talk about media relations and social media management, though I would be putting much premium on social media management since a bulk or a massive part of my experience is devoted on social media management. So my talk is divided into two major parts. First, I would be discussing media relations, an overview of media relations, and later on be part on the discussion of social media management. So let me share my presentation. May I ask if you can see my presentation?
Yes, Mr. Gerald, I can see your presentation.
Okay, so this is media relations and social media management. I'll just keep it short and simple because I know most of you are in the field of media and communication, so most probably know much of the concepts to be discussed in this session. So I'll just keep it short and simple. So let's start with the definition of media relations. So to keep things simple with our media relations definition, we refer to it as a mutually beneficial relationship between a brand or organization in a specific media outlet. So we'll have first the basics of media relations by defining first the concept of media relations. So media relations involves working with media for the purpose of informing the public on organization's mission, policies, and practices in a positive, consistent, and credible manner. Typically, this means coordinating directly with people responsible for for the production of news and features in the mass media. The important thing to remember is, our media contact needs to have sway over a specific group of people. Hopefully, those people will be in your target audience. So specialists in media relations develop strong relationships with the publications, either conventional or digital, that cover news related to a brand's category and leverage those relationships to build credibility and awareness. So unlike advertising, media relations do not involve paying for exposure. So when the media writes about a company or organization, readers and viewers generally see it as news rather than self-promotion. So we see media relations as uh, a non-profit field because it doesn't involve money. It doesn't involve paying for exposure, as what I've said a while back. So media relations is an art and science. So media relations is both an art and science. Why? Because it requires an ability to identify strong journalistic angles, familiarity with the right media for a particular company or organization's agenda, a strong knowledge of how to use media databases, and the ability rather to break the clutter, to break through the clutter, as what they say in the media field, and compel a writer or producer to cover a story. So it's both an art and science. Why? Because there's a process. It's a science there's because it's a process. It's an art because it requires skills and at some point talent to do the ins and outs of media relations. Uh, Ma'am Dita mentioned a while back that you talk about public relations yesterday. So these terms, media relations and public relations, are inherently and intimately related. So anyone from this group who can differentiate media relations and public relations.
Maybe media relations is a part of public relations activities.
Yes.
Yes, maybe like that.
Thank you very much. Your name is? Who spoke a while back?
Yeah. Me, Farida.
Ma'am Farida. Thank you, Ma'am
Yes.
Farida. Yes, public relations is the higher umbrella. If I'm going to illustrate it, it belongs to the bigger umbrella, and the media relations is a subset of public relations. So it belongs to a broader field of public relations. So as the definition of media relations evolves, some people are finding it increasingly difficult to distinguish between public relations and media relations. So while there are many similarities between these two practices, there are also some differences to consider. So media relations are best taught as a subset, is what I mentioned a while back, of public relations. So the media is a very small and focused segment of the general public. So although your media relations will allow you to reach a much larger audience, a good media relations strategy focuses rather on developing relationships with influential figures and uh, publications. So publications or public relations rather is defined by Public Relations Society of America as a strategic communication process that fosters relationships between businesses and the general public. On the other hand, media relations is all about strengthening your relationship with specific influencers, journalists, and editors who can help you reach your target audience. So we see media relations as a link to public relations. So without media relations, there can be no successful public relations. That's how I see the intimate and cohesive relation of the two concepts. So by filtering your content through a more credible environment, media relations can add some extra punch or weight to the message you're sending out to the world. So again, they are intimately related. They are different fields for that matter, but they are intimately related and connected because they help one another, I think, to achieve its goal. So we also have benefits of media relations or media exposure. So I have listed here 8 from the sources I've come across. So there are 8 benefits of media exposure or media relations. 1 is trust development. 2 is brand reach. 3 is authority. 4 is SEO potential. 5 is credibility. 6, thought leadership. 7, awareness of new products and services, talent attraction and retention. Let's take one after the other. Let's have first trust development. So consumers or clients, for that matter, are more impacted by the individuals they trust than by the brands, so including journalists and market influencers. So even if the corporation has assured a customer that it's trustworthy and valuable for decades, the customer won't believe it unless another trusted source backs it up. So when media relations are done well, firms can establish their credibility by receiving mentions from publications that their target audience already respects. So this refers to the effect of the word of mouth. So through effective, positive media relations, we could develop, we could establish the trust uh, or gain rather the trust of the clients or our stakeholders for that matter. So that's one of the benefits or the advantages of an effective media relation. Second one is brand reach. It's wonderful to publish a news article about your company or organization on your website, social media for that matter. By focusing on SEO or search engine organization keywords, you can increase your ranking potential and give your current clients additional information. However, take note that only those who already know how or about you will come across your story would really be familiarized with the uh, agenda rather or the policies maybe of your company or organization. On the other hand, if you release a story through a media source, you can increase the audience for your brand by including everyone who is part of the organization. So through using media, you get to have wider audience reach for that matter. And with the wider audience reach, of course, there could be more prospect clients or yeah, clients for that matter. So that's brand reach. Your brand reaches uh, continents for that matter. They could reach a wide or a large number of people. Third is authority. So one of the main advantages of media relations is that um, it can increase your authority in your field for that matter. The majority of media outlets have incredibly rigid rules about what they will report on. So customers are aware, or people who rely on your organization are aware that articles they read on publications like, for example, we have New York Times are frequently thoroughly researched. They're also aware that content consumed in other media, such as messages from well-known bloggers or influencers, is typically trustworthy. As a result, being included on a website with high quality and authority increases your authority also. So when you get to interact or to negotiate or to relate with a very established media outlet, a newspaper, a social media platform, a TV network for that matter, you get to experience also to build your authority. So that's one thing, authority. Number four is SEO potential. So SEO is search engine optimization potential. So you can gain from search engine results when you engage with numerous digital media to raise your online standing. I think this is one of the strategies done by Dimsu. Since we established our website and social media platform, according to our media team or our IT team, Dimsu is one of the top searches in the SEOs uh, available in the internet. So that's one thing. We were able to establish our authority, our name as one of the most searched entries in the different search engine optimizations through our website and our social media platforms like Facebook. So it takes more than just conducting relevant keyword research to rank well online. So you can improve your position by receiving backlinks and mentions from other authoritative companies. So this is especially true in the digital era. So when Google gives a preference to knowledge, authority, and trust. So this is one of the benefits of relating or having a positive media relations. You're able to establish your names in the different search engine optimizations or SEO engines that we have. Number five is credibility. So third-party coverage is usually seen as more objective than messages that company disseminates through paid advertising. So as what I mentioned a while back, authority, so also credibility, with the right amount or with the proper uh, media exposure, you're able to establish your credibility also to your clients or to your stakeholders. So number six is thought leadership. So when a senior executive publishes articles in major media, they get an opportunity to make their knowledge and perspective visible to decision makers like investors, business clients, and other key influencers. So according to my research, these types of articles can boost engagement by as much as 55%. So articles created by respectable or mm, credible media outlets can increase your engagement by up to 55%. The awareness of new product services and innovations, this is very much uh, felt for industry, for sales, and for commerce, for trade and commerce for that matter. So the media will often cover stories about unique ideas. So although that will directly lead to sales, it creates awareness, multiple products or services are covered in a story. That coverage is called roundup. So through effective media relationship or media relations for that matter, you're able to present or to establish or to introduce your product to or service to a wider audience. For us who are in the academy, we also sell our product, our services to an audience. Of course, as an academe or as an academic institution, we also have services to offer to a certain group of clients or audience. Number 8, we have talent attraction and retention. So current employees or uh, people may feel a sense of pride when their employer is mentioned in the news. So prospective employees and vendors want to work with companies that exhibit strength, credibility, and other important qualities in public media. So there's a psychological effect when someone or an event is positively written or uh, published in a certain media outlet or in media form. So, for example, an employee of the year or outstanding employees of the month, for example, if these articles or these people would be featured in a certain article in a media outlet, they get to uh, develop or maybe their morale, for that matter, confidence.
Mr. Gerald, I'm sorry, I can't hear your voice.
And sometimes I think I there was an interruption with my connection. Miss Farida, are you still there? Miss Farida?
Yes.
Okay, okay, sorry. There was an interruption with my connection.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
for that. Sorry for that. So as what I was saying a while back, when articles or when someone get featured in different media outlets or media forms, they get to develop higher positivity or higher confidence for that matter. And with confidence, of course, they get to deliver better service to the company or the organization. So that's one of the benefits of media relations. So talent attraction and retention. So we also have media relations strategy. So media relations is a complex and ever-evolving aspect of public relations. So because of this, just like any other brand building campaign, you'll need a strategy to ensure that you're making the most of your media relationship. So we come up with different strategies actually. So media relations is a broad field that involves different strategies. So we involve different techniques, methodologies, for that matters, techniques on how we do media relations. So a media relations strategy is the plan that you create, deploy media and use it to the best of your ability for telling your brand story. So your targeted media outreach will need to be adjusted and adapted to suit your specific goals, expectations, and objectives. So media relations strategy. So these are the questions you need to ponder when you are thinking of a certain strategy for media relations. The first one is, who are you trying to reach? So defining your target audience will give you a better insight into who you are trying to connect with via media relationships. If you know that your audience are younger people, for instance, then it might make more sense to use social media as a media outlet than newspapers. So you have to identify your audience. So when you know your audience, you would know what kind of platform you would use in um, disseminating information. That's what I mentioned. If your target audience belong to the netizens, to the digital natives, as what they uh, call them, of course, you would use platforms that are suitable or are appealing to their group. So you would use social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and the like. So these are some of the importance or importance of identifying or determining who your audience are. So number two is, where are you trying to reach your audience? If most of your customers are online, then it makes more sense to evaluate digital forms of media. This could include vlogs, blogs, and even dedicated industry forums for your businesses. So it's still related to the kind of audience that you have. So if your audience are akin to online platforms, then you would use platforms that are accessible to these people. So if printed media is more accessible than social media, then you would use uh, print media like newspapers, newsletters, broadsheets, and the like as medium to disseminate information. And number three, which people have the most influence over your customers. So you need to ensure that you're building relationships with the media experts that can really drive your message home. Who is more likely to appeal to your target customer? A social media influencer or a more traditional journalist? So you have to be careful in choosing your media partner. So who would be a better bridge? That's a question. Of course, you have a message to deliver, and the message should be delivered by your media partner. So your media partner must be the best person or the best option possible in order for you to deliver the message. So it's a cohesive whole. Your audience, your location, and your media partner, they go hand in hand uh, as uh, cornerstones in choosing your media relations strategy. So you have to be careful in choosing your audience. Where are your audience? And what media partner or what media platform could best deliver your message to your audience? So these are the questions you uh, have to consider in choosing your media relations strategy. So remember, the opportunities available for media relations have evolved and changed over the years. So to ensure that you're building the right strategy for your press relations, you'll need to sit and think about where your audience gets their information. So, for example, here at Insu, uh, we get to experience the best of two worlds. We get to experience the positive effects or the beauty of print media and social media. So we deliver the message or we deliver our information to our online platforms, our website, and our social media accounts or pages. But we also have monthly printout of our newsletters, where we print or we publish events and information happening in the university. So that's it. You have to know the kind of audience and location that you have. Elements of media relations strategy. So I have listed here four from a source I got from the internet. So we have planning, media tactics, execution, and follow-up. So these are the cornerstones of the positive media relations. Of course, there are still other elements you can consider based on different sources that you could get. But for the sake of for this specific discussion, I would be presenting four. The first one is planning. Of course, everything starts with planning. Every undertaking starts with planning. Without planning, there could be no definite direction. So it goes without saying that the success of the campaign or event is heavily reliant on the plan that goes into it. The goal of media relations planning is to assist reporters, and media representatives in informing the public more effectively. It's your responsibility to provide the most accurate and concise information for a valuable story. So media outreach necessitates the same meticulous planning and thought that goes into the program you want to promote. So once program objectives have been established, it's time to start the public relations planning process, which includes identifying the appropriate audience, key media sources, relevant media materials and messaging, program spokesperson, and the option for a media event or press conference. So these are some of the considerations when you are planning. The first one is determining your target audience. As what I mentioned a while back, it's very vital that you know your audience. So because your audience, the identification of your audience or the knowledge on who your audience are would determine or would dictate a kind of strategy that you would be undertaking. The second one is identify the target media. So what kind of media you are uh, eyeing on. Remember that media can be basically divided into five classifications. It could be print, like newspapers, magazines, newsletters, internal and trade publications. We also have television, news programs, talk shows, and public service announcements. It could also be radio, though radio is not, it's no longer that, uh, how do I say it? Uh, Patronized, sorry for the lack of the better word, especially in the Philippines, since we have uh, been exposed to online media platforms. We also have newswire services like United Press, Reuters, Associated Press, and we also have online news publications. I'm not sure. I go back with my. I'll go back with my contention with the radio. I'm not sure with in the case of Indonesia if radio is still popular there. Anyone who can give us insights? Anyone? Is radio still popular, a popular media form in Indonesia? Because in the Philippines, personally, on my personal standpoint, radio is no longer that popular in the Philippines since most of us are attuned already on online media platforms and social media.
I think the radio platform is, as well as the Philippines, is the same. It's no longer popular in here. We tend to relying on the online platform and the social media platform, Mr. Gerald.
Yes, thank you, Miss Dita. Also in the Philippines, we have the so-called teleradio, like a blended term for television and radio, since they actually air the news through frequencies of radio, and they also air the live banters of the newscasters or the radio anchors through television. So that's teleradio. So, but still, radio is a very effective media outlet or media form. So we also have uh, online news publications. What I mentioned a while back, it's a very popular form nowadays. because this content or these materials are accessible to most of us, since most of us, if not all, are already have access to the internet. So we also have assemble a media list. It's very important. As someone who works in media relations, you have to have a list of media personalities. So depending on the kind of field or the kind of event that you're reporting on, you should have a list of reporters or media practitioners on a certain field for that matter. For example, if you're working on uh, environmental issues, for example, so who are the reporters should talk to when you are engaged to environmental concerns? If you are concerned with peace and order, for example, you should have a list of names of personalities who work on this field. So you should have a list of these people. Why? Because once there is a need for a certain person who would report on this event, you have a ready access or you have a go-to list for these people. We also have determined media timeline. Of course, media people are not uh, the way I see them or the way I put this. They are not always available. I mean, once you need them, they can't be as uh, how do I put that? You can't just stop them anytime you want. So you have to be careful on their media lead time. So for example, if a newspaper would need articles to be submitted a day before the printout, you should abide with their media lead time. You should be aware of this media lead times because this would help you uh, uh, on when to submit the article or when to contact them for press release, for example. So, for example, you need to release an article about an event in your school or organization. Then you have chosen a newspaper to release the article or to publish the article for you. Of course, you have to be considerate or cautious on the lead time of this newspaper. That's one thing. Determining the media lead time. We also have determining the need for media events. So do you need to have a press con for that matter? Do you need to uh, convene the press to release a certain information? So do you need a spokesperson? So these are the considerations during the planning stage. We also have the media tactics. So making the pitch. That's one thing. That's a byword actually in the media industry or in advertising industry, making the pitch. What do you mean by that? I want audience from the Philippines. But I ask, I think some of my students are here, Miss Farida. So I'll just mention them. I think some of my students are here, so I'll just look for them and recite and ask them to recite. Uh, Miss Samantha Ronquillo. Miss Samantha, what do you mean by making the pitch? Samantha around? How about Jeric Bongolan? Jeric?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Jeric. What do you mean by making the pitch? Or when you make a pitch in media relations, what do you do?
For my own point of view, I guess it's the goal of a pitch. It's like to generate coverage and maybe determine if your media contact is interested in creating a story around the content.
Okay, thank you, Jeric, for that. So, making the pitch is actually tapping the media platform or the media outlet to come up with a story, or you're telling a story, or you're telling that you have a story to tell. So that's making the pitch. So once you're done with the planning, you know, do the pitching. So you do the pitch to the media outlet, or to the media, your media partner, by telling them that you have a story to share. So remember that you're not the only one trying to make uh, long pitches or long story pitches. Anyone can pitch a story. It does not it does not rest exclusively upon the spokesperson. The most effective way to begin is to share a story with the media by telephone and email. So you have to uh, inform the media, your media partners, that you're going to pitch a story for them. So you could email them if you want. You could give them a phone call. I think email is one of the most professional way to do that. For urgency purposes, you can do phone calls. Number one is media follow-up. So what do you do when you follow up? Of course, even the most compelling story requires active rather follow-up efforts. So once you have established an appropriate contact with the media, continue to check in regularly to maintain interest around your story and program. The only way to gauge their interest to your story is to follow up. If you're ready to announce your program or event, send a media release via email and or fax and confirm whether or not the reporter received the information they needed. If you are planning a media event, provide a media advisory that details the occasion followed by a press release. Of course, not all stories that you pitch can be uh, given notice or given uh, tawag dito, can be given a space for the media platforms. So not all stories can be accommodated. So you have to follow up through this partners what happened to your story. So number three is finalize program messaging and media resources. You have to finalize your sources. If you're planning to come up with a press con or a press release, you have to come up with a program. So that's media tactics. Of course, there's still no execution for that matter. Number three is execution. That's briefing the media and staging the media event. Of course, this only happens when you need a press conference or to convene a press. So briefing the media and staging a media event. This only happens during these cases. But for publication of articles in newspapers and other media outlets, briefing the media and staging a media event may not be possible or may not be necessary. Then number three or number four is program follow-up and recap. Of course, you need to have a recap of what happened. Uh, Media relations doesn't end in the publication or in the release of the information. There's still a recap or a follow-up. So number one is the program recap. So what do you do when you have a recap? When you click service and we do archives? So again, the follow-up process is important to maintain constant contact with media as well as solidify the focus of your story. So even after you have successfully pulled off a great campaign, it is imperative to keep in touch with media outlets or media contacts or partners for that matter and monitor your progress with a program recap. So this is the last chance for you to secure coverage for your program. So your contact should be timely and informative for that matter, and it should be concise. Then as news and feature stories begin to appear, begin to catalog media coverage and create a document that traces the progression of your media campaign. So you could also have a clipping service. So a media clipping service can be contracted with to capture articles and stories depending upon the number of articles that you plan to place. It's an easy way to thoroughly monitor any media coverage that you have obtained from countless clipping stories. A cost-effective alternative is to simply search for articles you know have printed this can be confirmed through media follow-up. So you take a repository of your media clippings, which can later on be put on as archives. An archive of media materials and track record, track coverage should be developed for future use and reference for your program. So you should have a repository of the materials you have uh, published or you have released during the media release or the media event. So it should have a recap through having a bank of these clipping services and archives. So a basic outline of your recap document shall include. I thought I have given you I have put that on my presentation, but I think I was not able to place the outline. But I hope I could email it to Ma'am Farida later on. There is a guide for this one, so I hope I could send it to you later on. So that's media relations. Personally, I'm not really that exposed to media relations as compared to how I'm exposed to social media management. But in my experience being the coordinator for print publication in our information office here at Don Mariano Marcos Moro State University, it takes a lot of skills also to do media relations. Why? Because you have to uh, have simultaneous skills on communication, writing, and the like in order for you to pull off media relations. Any question before we proceed to the next? Any question?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gerald, for the media relations material. That is a very interesting topic. And as we know, as you said earlier, there is a distinct difference between the public relation and media relation, sort of the extent of the public relations. And also, as we know, it's involving building a relationship between the company and the media itself. And before we get to the question from the participant, I want to ask you about the media relation itself. As you know, this is about between media relations and the PR. We have to build those trust between the journalist or any media that involves gathering the story and public relation profession. How do you, let's say, as a PR profession, maintain those trust in the media itself? How do you keep the trust between the media and the public relation profession?
Thank you, Miss Dita, for the very wonderful question. Of course, trust is a complex uh, concept for that matter. So, in order to build a trust, it takes a lot of complex process also, complex considerations in order for you to build and to maintain the trust between the media and the relations partner. Well, for my experience, it takes a lot of communication, effective communication between the people involved for you to gain the trust. Number two is to, as what I mentioned a while back on the courtesy on the media lead times. That's one thing. That's one of the considerations that you could actually have in order to build and to maintain the trust by respecting the lead times. Because when your partner or media partners know that you respect or you're cautious with the media lead times, you're able to respect their time and respect their trust. Number three is being truthful to the information. Of course, that's one thing. That's a very important thing to consider when you are when you want to build and establish the trust. You have to be truthful with the information. No one would trust fake news. No one would trust disinformation. especially now that we are in the era of disinformation and misinformation. Uh, when you're a propagator of disinformation, how can people trust you? So with of course that's a responsibility of the media relations practitioner to uh, ensure that the information are trustworthy. Because of course, as what I mentioned a while back, the media relations could bridge uh, the people to public to PR to public relations. So when the public knows that the media is telling the truth, or when the public knows that the media is telling true information for that matter, then trust is built, trust is established, trust is maintained. So that's my stand, Miss Dita, on that one. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for your answer. And we have another question from Mrs. Titin. Mrs. Titin, you may open your mic.
Okay, thank you, Dita. Hello, Mr. Gerard. My name is
Hi, Miss Tin.
Tizian. I want to ask you about one of the most sometimes when we use social media, one of the most issue that we have to think about is the identity. Since when we use social media, we don't have the real identity of our public or our customer or so on. So for you as a practitioner or maybe as a public relations officer, how to cope with this? So how to deal with this identity problem? Since when we use an old media, maybe we still can cope with it. But when we use social media, we cannot identify our customers' identity. So how to cope with it, Mr. Gerard? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ma'am Titin, for the question. That's a very good question because, of course, my next topic is all about social media management, and it's very good that Ma'am brought this up already. Of course, that's one of the issues I've encountered when I'm co-managing the social media account or page of our institution, IMSU. Some of the people who would actually inquire for your services or information or get information from you are questionable in terms of the authenticity of their account or the identity of their account. So sometimes if we think that the information is not uh, is something that's not confidential for that matter, it could not harm the institution, we give the information as easy as that, because I know some I get to discover that some clients uh, would not want to reveal their identity or real identity. So what they do is they come up with a dummy account in order for them to ask information. That's one of my experiences in handling the customer care section of our social media account. But some students would not use their real social media accounts to ask for information because why? They're shy, maybe. They're anxious to ask question and use their own identity for that matter. So what I do, if I think that information is not, it could not hurt or could not, or it is something not confidential, then I'll give the information. But if the information is something confidential and could harm the institution, then we don't entertain this fake accounts. Oh, and of course, we could not really control the we could not really control people from using fake identities. It's something uncontrollable, I think, at this very moment. I hope we have yardstick to or control mechanisms to to prevent or to stop people from using fake identities. But what would I suggest to our audience, our not all participants, is that be vigilant, be extra careful, and uh, and it takes a lot of digital literacy and competence to spot uh, disinformation, fake news, and fake identities in social media. So I could not really provide you a very practical technique to stop control this, because as what I've mentioned a while back, these are things that can't be controlled as of the moment, because the human mind is very playful. There are people out there who want to deceive, who want to lure you, and there are people who want to deceive others, so they would use fake identities. So what would I suggest? I would encourage you is to be vigilant and be extra careful, and know and spot misinformation, check on sources, do background checking if you can. So these are the ways we could somehow spare ourselves from the negative effects of this disinformation and fake identities from people.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Any
Nadine,
questions?
for your question. Are there any questions before we move on to the next topic? You can raise your hand using the raise hand feature, or put your question in the chat box below.
I may just point out, Ma'am Ms. Tita, that emphasize that media relations much, especially in the Philippines, media relations is very much practiced only in industry or marketing or trade industries for that matter. But in my case, as someone in academy or academia, media relations is not really that practice. Why? Because we have internal information offices or internal media partners. So we have, especially in IMSU, for example, we have a university information office who handle the dissemination of information for us. So we really don't need to tie up with media from time to time in order for us to publish or to release information to the public, because we have an in-house information office. But from time to time, there are also cases when we get to partner with outside media partners in order to get or to reach greater audience reach or audience.
Okay, Mr. Gerald, thank you for the further explanation. We have one questions from Nabila from Uhamka. Okay, I will read the question. Hello, Mr. Gerald. It's such an honor to hear your presentation. I'm Nabila from Uhamka. I would like to ask about, based on the material presented regarding the elements of media relations strategy with technology effects like social media, are there any factors that can make the media relations strategy fail? Thank you.
Again, Miss Dita, I didn't get the last part. Please repeat the question, the last part.
The last part, are there any factors that can make the media relations strategy fail?
Yes, of course. Thank you for the student who asked the question, Ms. Tita. Of course, there are many reasons or many factors that would lead to the failure of media relations. I'll go back to what I've mentioned a while back on the planning stage. When there's no definite, or when there's no clear planning, there can be no effective media relations. When you don't plan your strategy, of course, most probably it would fail. So may I just go back to that part? Okay. If you don't know your audience, that's what I've mentioned. That's one thing. If you don't know your audience, you would fail. Why? Because of course, your information might be disseminated, might be published. But the question is, did it reach the target audience? Were the audience, did the audience access the information? Were they able to read that? For example, you use social media as your platform, but apparently your audience are not using social media. They don't have Facebook accounts for that matter. They don't follow Facebook pages. They don't know you. They don't have internet connection. Would it reach the information? Of course, it would not. So that's one thing. That's one of the uh, uh, the top factors that I think would lead to the failure of the media relations. That's it, Miss Tita.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gerald, for your answer. So from those three, the who, the where, and the other one, the most important thing is the who. So does it reach the audience? So hopefully it'll answer the questions from Nabila. So are there any further questions around the media relations topic? Because if there's no any further question, we can continue to the social media management.
Okay, I think I can proceed now,
Yeah.
Miss Tita, to
Yeah,
social
you
media
can
management.
continue the social media management section. Thank you, Mr. Gerald.
We're taking them separately, but you remember that social media management can also be uh, an important part of media relations, especially now that we are in the digital age. Social media management and social media per se is an important element or an ingredient, if I could say that, to media relations. But for the sake of discussion, we're taking them separately, and we'll have a separate discussion for social media management. But you remember that social media is one of the platforms that you could use to uh, practice media relations. Of course, you know what social media is, right?
Yeah.
Is there any is there anyone in the group who has no social media? I think every one of us here has his or her social media accounts or pages. So I think every one of us are tuned to using social media. In the Philippines, Facebook is the most popular. In Indonesia, what's the most popular social media platform there, ma'am? If I may ask.
I think we use Instagram a lot to reach the audience. Yeah, I think Instagram. Maybe Mrs. Titin has another opinion about
Yeah, maybe in Indonesia, for the youth, just like the students here, Instagram will be the best platform. But for the oldest generation, Facebook still the best platform.
Okay,
So
thank
the youth in Indonesia moved to Instagram.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. For in the Philippines, I think in my observation, I think Facebook is more popular than Instagram in terms of information dissemination. So we use Facebook more than we use Instagram. So thank you for that, ma'am. So of course, social media is a complex ecosystem, a complex environment, and as a complex environment or ecosystem, it should be managed. That explains the picture here. So someone who could juggle the different social media platforms. Why? Because social media should be managed. Why? Because when you are able to use, well, it depends on the purpose of social media. It could be used for personal purposes. But in the case of social media management, we're using social media as a vessel for information dissemination. So when you want to disseminate information through social media, you have to know how to manage the social media because if you're able to see how complex the buttons, the settings of of Facebook page, you would know that managing social media is a very, very complex task to do. So let's first define what's social media management. So social media management is the process of creating, publishing, and analyzing content to post on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as engaging with users on those platforms. So you can streamline social media management with free and paid tools, as well as professional social media management services. So consists a complex process of creating, publishing, and analyzing content in different media platforms. So that's basically the concept of social media management. It's about managing, and when you manage something, you plan, you create, and you deliver something. So there are two terms being differentiated here. We have social media management versus social media marketing. How are the two different, and how are the two the same? Are they the same, or are they different? Are they related for that matter? Anyone from the group? Anyone? How is social media management different or similar with social media marketing? Are they the same? Okay. Social media marketing is social media management put in the premise of marketing and business industry. In other words, we manage social media, or we market social media, or we market through social media to increase our revenues, to expand our business for that matter. There is a business dimension for social media marketing, but it's basically a social media management. So it's social media management put in the premise of business. So you use social media platforms to sell, to deliver services, and to earn profit. That's social media marketing. So with social media marketing, you create and distribute content with a specific goal in mind to attract and drive users to your website or to your page. Social marketing can also include the use of advertising to enhance your reach and grow your audience. With the right strategy and plan, it's possible for a business to use social media management and marketing at the same time to build out an intentional, authentic presence on social media that provides value to your audience and serves to grow your audience. So you could use both two terms to describe the overarching field of social media management. It's both managing and marketing. But for social media marketing, it's more akin or attuned to business dimension or to economic dimension, for marketing side for that matter. Then we also have social media manager. So who is a social media manager? The social media manager, whether working as a consultant, in-house employee, or team member at a social media agency, is a skilled professional of social media marketing, advertising, and management. They help achieve your goals for social media, like growing your following or social media revenue. So for someone who manages social media, a social media manager, that's the play of words. However, social media manager is a skillful person. Why? Because the complex field of the complex activities of social media management should be skillfully done by someone. That's the social media manager. It's not an easy task. Why? Because you do the planning, you do the creating, you do the posting, and you do the auditing of the audience reach. So it's very important that the social media manager is a skillful person. So uh, at present, there are people who are hired specifically as social media manager, but some agencies or organizations, they assign someone, maybe a social media savvy person, to manage social media accounts or pages for them. So it's a very laborious task. That's why it's very hard to juggle your job and to manage social media. Sometimes it needs full-time effort or full-time activities in order for you to manage a social media page, especially if there's a massive amount of customers or clients who would ask questions from the social media account or page. The skills of the social media manager. So, what I mentioned a while back, the social media management process is a very complex activity. That's why social media manager should be skillful also. So I have here identified 4 skills that a social media manager should uh, possess. The first one is communication. So as a social media manager, it's your duty to share messages on behalf of an organization or well-known person, also responding to both public and private involvement. You must therefore be able to express yourself clearly both orally and in writing, especially writing. I would give much more premium rather to writing. You should have impeccable writing skills when you are uh, a social media manager. Why? Because you write posts, you write content for the social media page. So you should have a very, very good writing skill for that matter. You also answer to questions or queries of clients to the social media page. Of course, when you respond to them, you write your response. So you should have a very good command of the language. You should have a very good writing skills. For some social media managers, they also do the talking through live streaming, through conducting live events. That's why a social media manager, you should also have uh, good command or good speaking skills. Number 2 is creativity. Whatever kind of social media accounts you manage, you continuously need to come up with inventive, interesting ways to convey information. Social media managers need to be creative and open to trying out new strategies. As social media manager, you should be able to play with different kinds of content. So sky's the limit. You should have a uh, you should have different things in mind. You should have wide imagination and how you're able to deliver uh, content through different ways. Later on, I'll be showing you the different ways or different content we post in social media. Number 3 is collaboration. Rarely do social media managers work alone. Instead, you can anticipate working closely with customers and influencers on a social media team, as well as colleagues in design and marketing. You can use social media more effectively if you know how to work with others. Social media manager, you're not working in a cave. You're not working as an island. You're working with networks, a network of people, web for that matter. So you as a social media manager, you should know how to collaborate with them. You should know teamwork. You should be a team player for that matter because you get to work with other people. You get to work with other social media managers. You get to work with media partners. You get to work with advertisers and the like. Number 4 is organization. From content creation to data analysis, social media management has a ton of moving parts. It's important to be organized and create reliable workflows so you can work efficiently and avoid working unnecessary mistakes. It's very important that you're organized. Why? Because the social media page is the reflection of the uh, the planning that you do as a social media manager. So whatever appears there should be cohesive and united as a whole. All content in your social media should contribute in the building of your brand, your identity as a page or as an organization. How do you do that? You should be organized. So these are the skills you need to possess when you are a social media manager. So why is social media management important? So there are reasons why we put premium on social media management. I have here listed 4 uh, reasons why we should have effective social media management. But of course, you would find in other sources you would find other reasons or other importance. I listed here only four. So for cost, social marketing or social media is an economical marketing strategy. Regardless of your marketing budget, joining social networking platforms, posting material, answering user comments, and more, and uh, posting content are all free. It's free. You don't need to pay for your content in social media to be posted, unless you want to boost your content. Now we have content boost, wherein you pay a certain amount to Facebook in order for them to boost your content. If they boost your content would reach greater audience reach. So there's a possibility that more people would see your posts in Facebook or in social media platform where you posted your content. So even social media advertising is a successful way to connect with your target market and develop an online. May I just share that uh, in the Philippines, we just had our national election last May 2022, so 2 months ago. And most of our candidates, politicians have shifted from the traditional television advertisements to social media advertisements. So most of them uh, utilize social media as a platform. Why? Because it's cheaper. Most of them is free, and it gets wider audience reach. So see how effective social media is nowadays. Number two is reach. That's what I mentioned a while back. So you may interact with folks from all over the world on social media platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn. To connect with specific audiences, you may also use social media sites like Pinterest. The rich price or social of traditional marketing and advertising can't be matched. Because of this, social media management for business is essential. So our population, the population of or the people who have social media accounts talk like mushroom around the globe. So they're everywhere. So people from all over the world can be reached by your content through social media platforms. That's one. That's that's a limitation of other media platforms like newspaper, uh, radio, and sometimes even television networks. Uh, the reach of the social media is for me limitless as long as there's internet connection and as long as there are social media platforms existing or accessible in different locations or these places, then content is possible. Number three is users. You may watch your marketing endeavors with user behavior by incorporating social media into your marketing plan. For instance, based on my readings, 74% of consumers now consult social media when choosing what to buy. I repeat, 74% of consumers now consult social media when choosing what to buy. So business people, entrepreneurs already shifted, already migrated to uh, e-commerce or e-marketing and utilize social media as a marketplace. In the Philippines, we have online sellers. They use Facebook to uh, to uh, present their services or their products to their clients. They sell their products through online negotiations. Most of them, most of us do payment through online also. So most of the things traditionally done in business are now done digitally or through online. So one is the promotion through social media accounts. So not to mention, social media accounts for 80% of people's advice on purchases. Number four, we have performance. The effectiveness of social media marketing and advertising is acknowledged by both marketers and business owners. So businesses can enhance their brand through social media and possibly create leads and revenues. For instance, according to my research or readings, 45% of business to business or B2B marketers have acquired a client via Facebook. So performance in their business are boosted up or are increased, are strengthened through social media and through social media management. So there are different platforms that you could use to sell or to deliver your content. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, LinkedIn, we have YouTube, and we have Pinterest. These are only 6 of the many social media platforms that you could use. So let's take one after the other. Let's have Facebook.
Mr. Joel, I
So-
think there's something wrong with your connection
Yes.
because we can't hear your
Okay, so
voice.
Facebook. So we have demographics. So let's see the let's have a run through of the demographics, uses, and perks of the different social media platforms. Number one's demographics, or number one's Facebook rather. For the demographics, Facebook offers access to several different demographics, from seniors and youth to men and women. Plus, more than 50% of adults in the US use Facebook multiple times a day, which lets you connect with varying segments of your target audience. My premise is US. I wish I was able to take a look also of the demographics of Facebook in both Philippines and Indonesia. But for my presentation, it's US. So it's 50% of adults use Facebook. Yeah. So for the uses, Facebook is useful for building relationships with existing and future customers. You can also help build brand loyalty, which can encourage future purchases. May I go back with the demographics? What's the implication of the 50% of adults? The implication is that when there is great population or a large population of people who use this kind of platform, of course, you could imagine the kind of reach that your content would have. That's 50% of the US population, or adults rather of the US population. So with higher users or higher number of users, there's a possibility of greater reach, audience reach. The Pix features a wide variety of ads and content formats, from photos to videos to text. Even better, for more than 40% of business-to-business marketers, it's led to new clients. I think the advantage of Facebook to its to the other platforms that you could have various, or it offers various ways to deliver content. Since you could post anything, you could post a video, you could post a text, you could post a link. It's something that can be done in Instagram. You can post a plain text, but you need to post a photo, right? You have to put a graphics in order for you to post something. That's, I think, the benefit or the advantage of Facebook. Also have Twitter. I'm not sure if Twitter is very much used for business purposes, but for pages that involve pleasure or entertainment, for that matter, Twitter is very much used. Demographics: less than 25% of US adults use Twitter, but the social media platform provides competitive access to users between the ages of 18 to 29. More than 40% of Twitter users are from this age. They're also more likely to be active on the platform multiple times a day. So the target audience, or the the uh, uh, age brackets of the Twitter users, according to my source, is 18 to 29. So unlike Facebook, Twitter focuses more on news. It also emphasizes two-way conversations between users, whether they're brand or consumer. If you're looking to engage with your target audience, Twitter is a good option. The next one advantage of Twitter is its users. They're active and happy to engage with one users. Twitter also features a specific audience, which is helpful if people between the ages of 18 to 29 are in your target market. Then we also have Instagram. So as what Ma'am Dita mentioned a while back, Instagram is a very popular platform in Indonesia. So Instagram is a prime platform for connecting with users between the ages of 18 to 29, so as well as 30 to 49. So over 70% of Americans between 18 to 29 use Instagram. For users between 30 to 49, the number is nearly 50%. So what do these figures tell us again? Again, they determine or they encourage greater audience reach. If you're a business, if you are a businessman, if you're in the business industry and you use social media to promote your business, of course, you would use social media platforms that are popular to that region. So if Instagram is very much popular in Indonesia, then as a business person, a businessman or woman, or entrepreneur, for that matter, you would use Instagram rather than other uh, media platforms or social media platforms. Uses like Facebook, Instagram is useful for establishing a relationship with consumers as well as engaging them. Depending on your industry, you can also use Instagram to generate new leads. That's why retail, entertainment, and beauty businesses offer or often use the platform. For the perks or benefits, users love to use the platform. That's why nearly 60% check multiple times a day, which increases the chances that users will not only see your post but also interact with them. We also have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very professional social media platform. And in the Philippines, in my observation, LinkedIn is not that popular as of the moment. Demographics, LinkedIn is a popular platform among college graduates. More than half use the network. Even better, 90% of LinkedIn users are also on Facebook, which is helpful if your strategy focuses on both platforms. For the users like Twitter, LinkedIn is useful for sharing news-related materials such as company announcement or industry-specific news. It can also assist in developing relationship with other companies, thus building a reputation via content marketing. Perks, LinkedIn offers a few benefits for businesses, especially B2B or business-to-business operations. For business-to-business operations leads from social media, 80% come from LinkedIn. That's why more than 60% of marketers find it the most effective platform for the business. As a page or as an organization, LinkedIn is not that popular in the Philippines. But for individual or personal purposes, to build your professional track record in the internet or online, you could use LinkedIn. That's the beauty of LinkedIn. It's very professional. Also, we also have YouTube demographics. Like Facebook, YouTube features a wide range of users from 18 to 65 and older. Even 49% of people 65 and older watch YouTube, while almost 83% of 50 to 64-year-olds visit the platform. Uh, since vloggers or YouTubers are popular or rampant in the Philippines, YouTube is a very popular platform to become an influencer. But to use that as a platform for an organization, for an agency, for an educational institution for that matter, it's not that popular nowadays. It's not yet popular as of the moment. But you could use Facebook or YouTube rather to or YouTube channels to disseminate videos or other information materials about your company or about your business. You could also use YouTube to uh, advertise your service or your products through the ads, YouTube ads that you see or that you watch before a video. That's how you use the YouTube. Also, Pinterest. So social media platform features a strong female audience with more than 40% of women and only 16% of men. So according to the source, there is a greater number or bigger number of women or female who use Pinterest as compared to men. So I don't want to sound like there's a gender bias here. I'm an advocate of gender equality and fairness, but based on my readings, uh, women tend to use Pinterest more than men. Why do you think so? Anyone? Did anyone from this group share why Pinterest is more popular to women than men?
I think there's the because of the I don't know. For me personally, I like to use Pinterest because of the layout of the application itself is very easy to use, and there's a lot of information that I can access in terms of pictures and video from that application. If we can access more information other than other social media, I think,
Okay, thank you,
from the
Miss.
Pinterest itself.
Thank you, Miss Tita. Though we're not saying that men do not love designs and do not love visuals for that matter. Yes, I think the visuals, the variety of things that you could see, that you could access in Pinterest attract a big population or large population of women in especially in US. So I think that's one of the reasons why women love Pinterest. Of course, we're not saying that men do not love Pinterest for that matter, or that men do not use Pinterest because that's quite sexist. But based on statistics, there is a greater population or number of women who use Pinterest. And for its uses, Pinterest is excellent for showcasing your product in a non-promotional way. For example, you can highlight the uses and features of your goods. That's one of the reasons why we go to Pinterest. We go for uses for ideas, outfit ideas. We go for journaling ideas and the like. So these are the things that we see in Pinterest. You can even connect with influencers to promote your products further. So one perk of Pinterest is that users rely on it to plan for future purchases, with one study discovering that more than 85% of millennials use it for that purpose. So you don't actually sell in Pinterest, but by posting something in Pinterest, this could get the attention of the user or the social media user or the client, which later on could be your potential client. So sometimes some business outfits would have Pinterest account wherein they would post their products and all without actually selling it. Just show the products because the Pinterest users, the social media users, once they're able to see the post to say the business, once they're interested, they get to research where to find or where to buy the products. So it would lead to the entrepreneur. So that's how they do that. It's not actually selling things in the platform. But in Pinterest, you get to promote, to show, or to present things or ideas, which later on can be patronized or bought by clients. We also have the focus is on social media management. Let's skip this part because I think we still have time, Ma'am Farita. Okay, so I'll just run on this part. I'll not dig deep on this part, but these are the focuses of your social media management. The first one is auditing your existing social media strategy. You have to be aware of your current standing. Auditing means knowing who your likers are, how many followers do you have, uh, how far uh, how far did you reach in terms of your audience. So these are the things you have to discover, you have to identify when you audit existing social media strategy. How many posts do you post every week? How many articles do you post per day? How many videos? How many subscribers react or like to the post? So these are the things you have to audit. Why? Because same with media relations. So when you're planning, you have to identify who your audience are and your current standing. Because without knowing who your audience are or without knowing your current standing, you don't know where you're going. When you audit your existing social media strategy, you get to assess or reassess and evaluate your existing strategy. Number two is researching your target audience. As what I mentioned a while back, who your audience are, who are your subscribers? Are they mothers? Are they fathers? Are your target clients and social media followers teachers? Are they media practitioners? You have to identify your audience. Of course, the kind of industry that you have, the kind of product that you sell, it is the kind of audience that you have. If you're an education organization, of course, most of your audience are students or academicians or teachers or other stakeholders. If your social media page is a social media page for beauty products, of course, your audience are people who are savvy with skincare and beauty regimen. Number three, choosing your social media platforms. Again, your choice of social media is very critical. You have to be careful. You have to identify the best social media to use for a certain audience and first for a certain location. Possible that you maintain different social media platforms, that you have Facebook and you have Instagram. Why? It's very practical because your audience may have may have Facebook and would not have Instagram. However, your audience may also have Instagram and would not have Facebook. So it's very practical that you maintain different social media accounts or platforms. Is it possible, sir, that I'll have a two social media or two Facebook accounts for a certain organization? I would recommend that you have different social media pages. Why? Because for uniformity, for centrality, for commonality for that matter, there should be one distinct social media page for a certain organization only. Because your social media page is your brand. I mean, social media page creates, uh, influences, establishes, and maintains your branding as an organization. So the kind of social media that you have, it reflects the kind of organization that you want to project to the audience. So when you have different uh, Facebook pages, for that matter, it doesn't contribute to a certain unique brand for your organization. Number four, creating social media strategy. What kind of strategy that are you using? Are you posting? Would you post videos? Would you post photos and the like? Are you going to come up with information videos with uh, infomercials and other information materials? What are your social media strategies? Up to you. There's a wide sea or ocean of strategies that you could come up with when you're trying to present your content or your organization or your brand to an audience. Number five rather is designing your social media profiles. It's very important that you design your social media profiles. Because the visuals of your social media page, the cover photo, the profile photo, and even the arrangement of buttons, actually dictate the kind of social media page that you have. Later on, when you create your own social media page, or Facebook page for that matter, there are classification of layout. Is it a business page? Is it an academic page for that matter? Because the arrangement of buttons and information in the page, specifically in Facebook, actually contribute also in your branding. That's why you have to be careful. You have to be creative in designing your social media profile. Number six, developing your social media ads. Uh, if you want to generate income, you could uh, accommodate advertisers or advertisements from other brands or companies. Number seven, building your social media content calendar. Your calendar means the schedule of posting content or the schedule of uh, answering to queries or questions. Is it important for a social media manager to have a schedule when to post content. This is very important. Because your audience would be conditioned on the regularity uh, of the release of your social media content. You would expect that you would post content once a day, maybe depends on your calendar. It depends. It could be twice a week. It could be 3 times a week. It could be weekly. It could be during weekends only. So the scheduling is very important because it helps the uh, social media followers or users be accustomed to your schedule or to the content you provide in your social media page. Number 8, creating platform specific social media content. There are posts or there are content that you can post or you can publish in Facebook, and there are content you can only post in YouTube and other social media platforms. I mean, some content are more appropriate in a certain media platform. If it's photo, I think the best media platform would be Instagram. If it's video, the best social media platform would be YouTube or could be Facebook. So you have to choose or to create the platform specific social media content. Number 9, responding to your social media followers. It's very important that you engage your social media followers. Ito on, if you're maintaining a social media page, for example, Facebook, you are being evaluated by Facebook depending on your response rate. So there's, for example, 80% response rate because you respond to queries or to concerns of your customers or clients uh, in a very regular manner. So they evaluate you from time to time, your response rate to your audience. Of course, if your audience know that you're responsive, then they would keep on patronizing or following your social media page because you are responsive. No one wants a very non-responsive page. So clients or social media users want that their concerns are being attended to by the social media manager. However, I understand that attending to the queries or concerns of your social media followers from time to time can be a little tiring or can be tiring at some point. Yes, it is. That's why it's very advisable that social media manager you come up with system generated responses wherein wherein when a client asks a certain question, there's already or accessible response that would be sent to them, to him, or her. The system generated content. However, system generated content are not absolute or are not replace you as a social media manager. A social media manager is still important for you to respond to the to the queries or concerns of your followers. Number 10, growing your social reach. You have to increase your audience reach. What do you mean by audience reach? It's the number, it's the organic number of uh, social media research or social media users or followers who have read, access, or came across your content. And number 11, monitoring your social media performance. If you're, that's I think quite related with auditing still. When you audit your existing social media strategy, you also monitor your social media performance. Why? Because it's only when you monitor that you identify what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. And when you do what you're doing wrong, you're able to come up with a solution. And when you have solution, you get to improve your performance as a social media manager. It takes a lot of practice. It's a trial and error thing. No one created a social media page as perfect as it is on the first day. Everyone starts from zero. Everyone starts from scrap. Uh, Content is established. Audience reach is earned from time to time. Uh, it's not something that you do, that you accomplish in one day. even if you boost your post through ads, still not guarantee that your page or your organization would be patronized or would be followed. So what are the content that we post in social media? One is copy or a caption. This is as simple as the text. I think it's the most basic content that we post in Facebook, even if be it a social, be it a page or a personal account. The caption or the copy is one of the most vital uh, aspect or vital content that we post in social media. So use a two-prong approach. Number one is you have to reflect on your brand's identity. And number two, you have to consider your audience preferences. To reflect on your brand's identity, think about how your brand voice sounds and how you can express your brand through text, tone, and style. Compile a style guide to ensure your team uses consistent brand voice in every social media post. You cannot just post whatever you want and however you want it or whichever you want it. Uh, your text, the way you post your text, the words you use, and the way you arrange your text or your words should still be in consonance or in coherence with your brand or identity. So again, everything you post in social media reflects your identity, even your caption. So is your page for an organization for an organization formal? Is it uh, trendy? Is it playful? Is it dark for that matter? So your text or the text that you use, the words that you use, the way you arrange it should be incoherent with the uh, nature of your brand. Number two, consider your audience preferences. So can your customers' reviews and the comments on your social media posts to find out how your audience really speaks. Make note of the notes and words that appear repeatedly and work your audience's style into your copy as appropriate. So when you're writing something, again, uh, it's not just you identify or you consider your brand's identity, you also consider the identity or the nature of your audience. Are my words comprehensible to the audience? Is this word has does it have meaning to them? Does it have effect on them? Is this new? Uh, are the words suitable to young audience? So these are the things that you consider when you are writing a caption or a text for your social media page. We also have images. Of course, that's very, very vital. They're very popular. We post images in our social media pages. So from stage notes and lifestyle photos to graphics and memes, visual content can say so much about your hand. So this says picture speaks 1,000 words. So without text, sometimes images can stand alone. Sometimes I'm saying every time. It's still important that a text should explain or somehow relate or could somehow uh, uh, support the photo. But there are times that photo can already stand alone as a post without the presence of a text. But you remember that images can be polysemic in nature. So there's a polysemic nature for photos for photos for images. So without an accompanying text, an image can be misinterpreted in different ways depending on the uh, context of the reader or the person uh, reading or viewing the image. That's why I still encourage that images are accompanied by text. So speaking of text, uh, it might be helpful for you to identify the dimensions of the different photos that you post in different social media platforms. It's important for you as social media partner, social media practitioner or manager. It's important for you to know the dimensions of the images that you post in your social media page. So I'll be posting you here a sample infographics. I hope you could see that. Miss Farida, could you see the image?
Mr. Durrell, I can see your image.
You can see, Miss Farida, can you see the image? No?
I think there's something wrong with Miss Farida connection, but I can
Okay.
see your image.
Okay, I think,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can see your image, sir. Yes.
I
I'm
think,
sorry. I have unstable connection here.
thank you very much. So, I have here an infographics of the different images that you could post or you could create in your social media pages. So, why is it important? Because the kind of the dimensions of the photos affect its overall impact. There is a psychological appeal of on how you a positive psychological appeal on a well posted photo or well posted photos in your social media page. So these are some of the dimensions. If you want to come up with an event cover image, this is the dimension 1920 times 180 pixel. If you're using Canva, you're familiar of these sizes. So these are some of the dimensions. So for shared image, that's 1200 times 630 pixel. For Instagram, for stories, that's 1080 times 1920 pixel. So these are some of the dimensions. There are dimensions you could follow when you are creating your social media posts or photos. You could search this in the internet, so you'll have something to guide you when you're creating or editing photos. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Bear with me. Uh, we go with videos. Of course, there are videos are also very popular content nowadays. So in the past, the impact of video was increased significantly, quickly making it as an essential component of any content strategy. For example, in my research or in my readings, more than 500 million people watch Facebook videos every day. So videos on social media drive 12 times the shares that text and images do. So videos are more effective in getting higher audience reach than photos and text. So if you want to get wider audience reach, then you may consider uploading or creating videos. So publish professionally, produce videos for social media campaigns, create these are the roles of social media manager in terms of video. You have to publish professionally produce videos for social media campaigns. Professionally produce videos. Of course, if your organization is a professional organization, the videos and everything posted there should be professionally produced. Create informal mobile videos to give your audience behind the scenes glimpses and share how the videos explain complex products. In terms of processes, you could come up with how to or process videos, informative videos, uh, especially for TikTok in the Philippines. I'm not sure if in the case of Indonesia. In the Philippines, TikTok is a very popular platform for how to videos or processes. When the social media managers want to deliver a process or wants to introduce a process, maybe uh, a process of securing a document or process, even cooking for that matter, they use TikTok to do that. Of course, these videos can also be posted through Facebook and other social media platforms. Of course, we have live streams. Live streams is very popular nowadays. It's a very new, fresh content that we experience nowadays. It's not traditional. It's not something that's been used long time before. It's just a new content or a new form of content that we use in social media. So while pre-recorded video can boost reach engagement, live video can help your brand create a more genuine connection with followers. Keyword is live, genuine connection with the audience. Why? Because it's synchronous. It's real time. The live stream in live stream, you get to interact with your followers. They get to ask questions. You get to talk with them. It's better than pre-recorded videos because in pre-recorded videos it's asynchronous. It's something that it's one-way communication as compared to live streaming or live feeds. The social media influencers or managers get to interact with their audience real time. We also have short form videos. These are the reels for Instagram and Facebook, and also YouTube shorts. These are 1 minute clips that you post in social media page. Uh, these are also very effective content. Why? Because longer videos give you more opportunities to share information, highlight products, or show videos how to do something. But not all long videos have to be more than can be absorbed or can be absorbed by audience. Sometimes they prefer short 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 form videos. Why? Because the attention span is just short. They have limited attention span for that matter. That's why short clips, reels for that matter, YouTube shorts are effective for them. So short form videos like reels are ideal for expanding the reach and boosting engagement. Instagram makes them as easy as possible to find. In addition to appearing in feed, reels have their own dedicated tab in the main Instagram menu or Facebook menu and in your brand's profile. So you could actually post your content as reels. Then you have ephemeral content. These are your stories, Facebook stories, Instagram stories, and the like. These are ephemeral, meaning they just last for a short period of time. Uh, for Instagram stories and for Facebook stories, they only last for 24 hours. After 24 hours, your stories are archived or deleted. Of course, you could share links and user-generated content. So your users or your followers could also generate content and post that to your social media page. If you give them the permission or the access, they could post content as guests or as followers. They could also post content in their own social media account, but they could tag you or mention you there so that their followers could reach you also or could be introduced to you also. That's generated content. Then those are the contents that you could use in your social media pages. Conclude my discussion, I'll just present to you how our social media page here in DIMSU. So this is our social media page, DIMSU Don Mariano Martinez University. We have different campuses or units, and these units have their own social media pages. But as a university, we only have one official DIMSU page, and this is our DIMSU page. I mentioned a while back that visuals is everything. Visuals include colors and the kind of text font that you use as social media, because the color and the font and the style actually help in the promotion or the building of your brand. For our page, we use the color of green and yellow and white as our schemes. So this is our current audience reach. thanks to our University Information Office headed by Dr. Marcon Biduya, we are able to generate in just a year, I think, we're just able to we're able to reach 16,000 followers or likes in our Facebook page. As of for the last 28 days, this is a real-time data. We are able to reach 251,000 audience. So that's how far we've reached as a page, 251,000 reach. So it increased 78.6% over the last 28 days. Then for Facebook page visits, for the last 28 days, we were able to reach 10,400 page visits. That's organic page visits. Then we have new page likes. We have 1,000 new likers or new followers. So for the demography of our followers, 67% of our followers are women. Then 30% are men. This is in terms of gender. As the age bracket, most of our followers belong to 18 years old to 24 years old bracket. Then we also have audience who are 65 years old above. So that's the demography of our audience. Then most of our audience or our followers are from the Philippines, but we also have audience in Canada, Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. I hope someday or one soon we'll have followers from Indonesia, or we'll get large following in Indonesia also. So this is our social media page here in Dimsu. I just want to take pride on this one because, of course, with the collective effort of the people behind our social media page, we're able to reach wider audience. And when we reach wider audience, of course, we get to have more prospect clients for our university. And that's all. Thank you very much. I hope I have imparted something to this group for today's session.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Gerald, for your presentation. What I get from your presentation is even though social media is a complex environment, you can also take the advantage of the social media itself to widen your audience or even boost and maximize your business revenue from using such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as you said earlier, as long as you know the social media strategy, target audience, how you monitoring the performance of your social media and other focuses of social media management that you've said earlier. And also on building your social media platform, you have to consider and involve the content or feature in the social media, such as caption, images, video, or feature of live stream, short form videos to build your identity on your social media. All right, so we are going to move on to the question and answer section. We already have one questions in the chat box from Mrs. Maria Andriana from LPDS. Hi, sir. This is Maria from LPDS. I want to get your opinion on using social media as a tool for promoting products and services. We know it will get wide attention. However, is it effective or not? And how about the credibility of social media itself? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Of course, I mentioned a while back that social media can be used in a wide array of manner or way. And one of that is very rampant, it's very prevalent, especially here in the Philippines. It's being used as a platform for business to market products. So how do you build credibility? Credibility, again, just like trust, is earned, established for that matter. You don't get credibility overnight. So you don't get you don't become credible in selling products in social media by merely making a page and posting your products for that matter. It takes a lot of process. Consistency is one key. You have to be consistent in posting your content. And of course, branding is very important. With the kind of branding, with the right amount of branding, with the appropriate branding that you have, you could get credibility. Now, is social media a credible platform? If that's a question, yes, it is a credible platform. Social media is a credible platform in different aspects, especially in business. It's still up to you as a social media content creator or manager how you make Facebook a credible source or a credible platform. Now, you could be, in terms of business, speak of business, you could be victim. There are many crimes that could happen or uncertainties that could happen in using social media as a platform in business. You could be, as what I mentioned by Ma'am a while back, fake identities and the like. You may generate fake clients for that matter. Still, it takes a lot of vigilance and care and uh, carefulness on your side as a social media manager or practitioner or content creator to establish real connection with your audience. When you get established the authenticity of your audience, that your audience are not, that audience are organic and are authentic, then uh, Facebook or social media is really a credible platform. And the entire process is a credible process. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gerald, for your answer. I hope that answer Mrs. Maria questions. Are there any more questions from the participants? You can use the raise hand feature or type your questions on the chat box below. And I think before we move on to another question from the participants, I would like to ask you a questions. As you said earlier, the people who work around the social media area also responding to any comments from the customer or the followers. And
Again, Miss Dita, there's some interruption on the audio.
Okay.
Can you repeat
Okay.
that?
Okay. As you said earlier, people who work around the social media area also responding to any comment that conveyed by the customer or the followers, and you need to use the proper language. But I've seen so many cases that they really ditch the ethics and not using a proper languages. But if you take a look at the media practices, they sort of tied up by ethics. Does social media have that also, Mr. Gerald? The ethics?
The ethics.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Miss Dita, for the question. I'm quite intrigued with ethics because ethics is a very sensitive matter for that one. We don't have yardstick, an exact rule for this one, for an ethics is in team. So for that matter, we don't have ethics on the kind of processes, on that one, the language that you use. I think it still boils down to the branding that you want to show to the audience or want to build. Are you trying to put up a branding that is not informal, formal for that matter? So still, it all boils down to the heart of social media management, it's the branding. So for the ethics part, we don't have that specific rule that's true across all social media managers or across social media platforms. But I think the ethics would be much determined by your branding as a social media manager or a social media page. That's my take on that one, Steve.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for your answer to my questions. So we have another question.
Sometimes it's weird that you're a formal organization and you need to use proper language in uh, engaging the concerns of your clients. But surprisingly, some clients would also love to talk with someone who's relaxed, someone who is informal, for that matter, who's friendly. So it's still up to the kind of audience or customers that you are responding to. So it takes a lot of testing the water. If you think that there is a rapport between you and the customer or the client, then you might loosen up at some point to some extent and adopt a more informal language. But uh, in some cases, in our case, we see to it that we treat our clients or our social media followers the most professional manner we could.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for the addition information. We have another question. If you can't hear my voice, Mr. Gerald, you can see on the chat box below. So there's a question from Samantha. I think it's from Don Mariano Marcos State University. Hello, sir. Regarding of freedom of speech, truth is an ethical value that other people respect. Yet, it is somewhat ethical if someone exposes their opinions on a risky subject matter in SOSMED platform, especially in Facebook. Even if they already know that the online platform is chaotic and complex, even if they are showcasing authenticity, because we all know that some might be against someone's statement, they can cause to mislead netizens and online arguments because of different views. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Samantha, for the very lengthy statement. But I think the core of Samantha's statement is freedom of speech. If I'm going to reword that, Samantha, is what is how do we reconcile freedom of speech in social media? I think that's the core of Samantha's insight there. It is true that the social media platforms are an open field for your freedom of expression. Anyone who has access of the internet, anyone wherever they are, in part of they could hide their identities, they could present their true identities, and they could express their opinion. To the question of Miss Samantha, is it somewhat ethical if someone exposes the opinion or on risky subject matter in the platform? I think again, the question of ethical is somewhat subjective and relative for that matter. So I could not really tell you that it's unethical for me. Well, for some people, it's ethical. But I'll lead you to the core of freedom of speech. So, of course, everyone has his or her freedom of speech. Everyone can express their opinion or their insights about a certain topic. But you remember that, especially in a democratic country, democracy is not absolute or freedom is not absolute. With freedom, there are responsibilities. You enjoy the freedom because there are responsibilities. They are not something that you could just do anytime you want. So with freedom, there's responsibility. So personally, on a personal standpoint, or you as a social media user, you should be responsible on the practice of your freedom of expression. It's not just because you have freedom of expression doesn't mean you have the right to expose opinion that could hurt people. That's why we have established rules or policies, laws for that matter. In the Philippines, we have cybercrime law already that sanction or decriminalize illegal activities like libel in social media. So your freedom of expression is not absolute. Asking. So is it unethical? Yes, it is unethical, uh, but it's uncontrollable sometimes. Why? Because of course you can control the minds of other people. You can control the insights of other people from the other side of the planet or the world for that matter. They can share whatever they want, they can express whatever they want. You cannot stop them, but there are things you can do to protect yourself and to stop them or to prevent them from doing it further. Like what I've said a while back, you could file a legal case or legal case to libels or to people who would to expose or to share misinformation or wrong information in Facebook. That's my take on that one, Samantha. I hope you're satisfied with my answer.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for your answer. Samantha says thank you on the chat box below. I think I'm gonna allow another question as the last question for today, and we can maybe continue your questions on the next meeting with Mr. Gerald. Are there any more questions around the topic? If you have any questions, you can type it on the chat box below or using the raise hand feature. All right. Mr. Gerald, I think I have one more questions for you. But I want to ask, what are the things that maybe in the future to the people that that are going to work in the social media area, what are the things that we should consider, the risk that we should consider in the future by using social media as the main media to reach the audience besides digital literacy? What are the things that we should consider if
Okay.
we want to become the social media manager, let's say?
Thank you, Ma'am Dita, for the question. Well, aside from those I've mentioned a while back, aside from uh, possessing the qualities of a good social media manager, aside from taking into consideration the type of content that that you post or that you're going to create later on. Aside from this, I think the best consideration that you should have in using social media uh, literacy or social media platform rather is the risk. So Miss Dita mentioned a while back about what are the risks. So but the my take is the consideration is identifying the risk of using the social media as a platform because there are many risks. We go back to the statement of Miss Samantha a while back on freedom of expression. That's one thing because when you use your social media, when you use social media as a platform, you you bear yourself to the general public. Anyone can access the information you post in your social media page. So that's a risk you have to consider. Number two is you have to consider the uh, the status of digital literacy in your locality or in your area. Are your audience literate in terms of digital media forms? Are they aware of the different content or different media content that you post in your Facebook page? So that's one thing, digital literacy. Number three, I think it's the ever-changing competition in the internet. You have to understand that the trends in social media, for example, in Facebook, are dynamic. They change from time to time. So you have to be flexible also with the kind of content that you post. It's not good that it's not healthy that you stick in one traditional one type of content. It's good that you're able to experiment uh, with the different ways to uh, present an information. So I think those are the different considerations.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for your answer.
And the last one, data privacy. I think that course data privacy. There's a threat in data privacy in the internet, in social media. So there are stories of hacking and the like. So these are the things you have to be ready. You have to be equipped at in when you engage or when you enter social media management. That will be all, Ma'am Dita.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for your answer to my questions. And I think that would bring us to the end of this agenda. If anyone has further question around this topic, maybe you can ask Mr. Gerald through the MMSU Facebook page, maybe, or contact Mr. Gerald around this topic. All right, I think that's enough for today's meeting. Thank you so much, Mr. Gerald, for the an eye-opening topic for every one of us about the media relations and social media. Maybe you can send the material to Manfred so we can take a look further at the material. And we are very grateful to have you today as our speaker. And thank you to all the participants who have participated and stay until the end of this agenda. And we do hope that what Mr. Gerald has shared earlier would be beneficial for every single one of us. So thank you so much. See you on the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Gerald.
Thank you, Miss Farid. Miss Farid, could I request for a photo op with the participants?
Oh yeah, sure. I think maybe everyone can turn on their camera or yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take a screenshot of the Zoom meeting. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, I already have it. So I'm gonna send it to Manfreda, and then I think Manfreda are gonna send it to you through personal chat. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and
Thank you, Miss Tita. Thank you, everyone. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. See you on the next meeting. Bye-bye.